Welcome to Full Scope, a podcast designed to analyze the games that we love, the headlines of music, and the movies we can't forget. I'm your host, Wanda Burns. I'm my counterpart, Savon Morris. How's it going, man?
Do you want to send me a crow and I send you a crow?
Yeah, man, let's do it. Let's go ahead and do it. Might as well.
OKC.
Okay, see.
But now
I'm telling
doing
you,
good, man.
I want to say this before we start off. So I was trying to post that clip like before the game ended, and so when I posted on Instagram, I couldn't post it anywhere else because like the game was already over. There's no need to. But I posted on
Right.
Instagram right before it happened, and so many people were saying, "What is he talking about? He was wrong." Like Micah was saying, "Imagine picking OKC." Everybody was like blowing up. I was like, "Oh man!" Just seconds before the game, and how confident you sounded in it. You were just like, "OKC's going to the finals. They're going to the finals."
Was it just so far off?
Kai has to say. Mike has some things to say. Marlon has. I'm just saying, man. The people
It's okay.
fixated on Savon's corner on Saturday night.
No, but they act like it was like so far off. OKC had the ability to get there. They were the number one seed for a reason. Still a young team. They just got to learn how to close out against big games, and that was it. It was like they got blown out by 30 points or 40 points. It came down to the wire. Luka got hot. Kyrie got hot, and that's what it is. And they couldn't withstand it. So hey, I'm still okay with that pick. I think that was a good pick.
Hey man, stand down on it. 10 toes down. 10
Absolutely.
toes down.
But I will eat the crow though. I will eat the crow. They
Yeah.
lost. They didn't get to the finals, but hey.
And just like he did, I got to eat crow with Denver. I was wrong. I got out of the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes movie with some friends, and I checked the score, and I was like, oh shoot! I told him like Denver's about to lose. This is not going to be a good night.
And it was spot on. Nobody reached 100. Like
Yep.
me and Marlon said that. So hey, man, it's okay, brother.
It's all good. It's all good. We press on.
Yes.
We get up. We fall down. There'll be a lot of topics to get into for this one. Obviously, NBA playoffs with the conference finals is heating up. Also going to do some album reviews and gonna have a bonus green room session at the end. Always got to add that in. Some people made some comments about that at the end, and then we'll get to that. So it's going good so far.
Interesting.
But to start off with the Celtics OT win versus Pacers in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, Boston won 133-128 in overtime. Jaylen Brown, he had the tying three-pointer with 6.1 seconds remaining in regulation. Jason Tatum scored 36 points along with Drew Holiday's season-high 28 points. And this is a really interesting end because for the entirety of the game, Indiana pretty much outplayed Boston. They were playing their game. They're playing their brand of basketball.
Absolutely.
Tyrese Halliburton looked extremely comfortable. Miles Turner was knocking down shots from the perimeter. Pascal Siakam was dominating in the paint. All of these things were going right for them. But then, right when they could have closed it out, have a defensive breakdown. And there have been things about, hey, should they have, fouled right before? Different things like that kind of have been conflicting. And I think with this game, like my takeaway is that this is the concern when it comes to Boston is that they had 5 days off and they didn't look like
absolutely
on point as I thought they would, especially in a game 1 of Eastern Conference Finals. That was concerning to me. Yeah. Indiana should have won this game, but now it's 1-0. What were kind of your takeaways of this game?
Well, I'm glad you said at the end. I think they took them lightly. I think they were saying, they're going to be guys and they're going to be able to play their brand of basketball, which is running, transitioning, getting easy buckets. And they surprised the Celtics. The Celtics are running off a high, getting rid of the Cavaliers, the best record in the East, and they're just running off that. But I love the way the Pacers came out to play. They was like, I don't care. We just got a game 7. We just had to play our butts off to beat a good New York team, and then we're going to take it to the Celtics. But what I do not like is the sloppy play of Tyrese Halliburton.
Right.
It's a bunch of guys. It was a collective, and it was the turnovers at the tail end. Even if they didn't foul Jaylen Brown, the plays leading up to that play is what I have
gripes with.
Yeah, exactly. It grinds my gears. This is the time you clean it up. They should have fouled before even the Jaylen Brown 3-point shot, which was what a clutch shot. And I'm gonna give my hats off to him. He's not the best free throw shooter. Mm-hmm. He's 61% in the playoffs, but this year he's been the better defender in his showing. He had 3 steals that game. He knocked down a big shot. He looked confident. I love that. Earned that big contract because we was like, man, I don't think he deserved that. But this year,
Yeah.
defensive wise, ain't coming up in big clutch plays. But Celtics, I think they understand we can't take them lightly. We can't let them play their brand of basketball. We have to slow the pace down, and they can absolutely do that. And one last thing, Jason Tatum, crazy through 3 quarters, went really, really cold when they really needed him, and then he got the N1, which kind of fired him up, and he knocked down
Mhm.
back-to-back threes. And I was like, that's Jason Tatum just needs to make a shot, and he'll get going. But he was cold for a stint there, and it kind of stalemated the offense. But this is going to be a good series. I think a lot of people thought the Pacers weren't going to be able to play with the Celtics having 5 days rest,
Yeah.
but they played them,
The
and
Pacers
then
were underestimated. The Pacers were underestimated, I think, in
absolutely,
this series. Yeah.
absolutely, and with the Pacers, they run the transition of basketball, but they're streaky
Mm,
shooters. When they're on, they're on. And wait, okay, now the replays are coming by at 5 seconds left. It's
mm,
not even the big shot. You have 5 seconds left. You put it in Halliburton's hands. Terrible play call out of the side, the inbound and in. I forgot what his number 2 name is. I think he's one of the point guards. He knocked down 3 mid-range jumpers, and you only need 2 to win. You give it to Halliburton. He dribbles out crazy, don't
mm,
know where to go, and then you throw up a Hail Mary. That's not a veteran move. I think that play call should have went to somebody who's better mid-range, and Halliburton is a better three-point shooter than a mid-range shooter.
for sure.
Just it was a lot of things, mistakes, but the highlight, and the coach said it, we played our brand of basketball. We stuck it to them, and we played to the very, very end. And you can't let the Celtics stick around. They're gonna figure out a way to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing with this game is that Boston, if you let them linger around, especially at the end of that game, and then it takes it into overtime, that's one of those like backbreaking plays because there's always like one play in a game like that where if the tides turn, and you saw what they did with the crowd. The crowd got
Mm-hmm.
got back into it.
Yep.
Everybody was up. You had David Ortiz there. You had all of these Boston fans there, and it was just like it was one of those plays. Like, man, this might have just changed the whole game and possibly the whole series. Do you? What was your original? Because I originally had the Celtics winning in 6 for this series. What was
Mm-hmm.
kind of your original takeaways on this
Same.
prediction for this?
Oh, same game. Go through game 6. I thought the Pacers would lose the first 2, and
Mm,
then strike back and get one in the middle or in the back end. But who knows? Who knows if they come out and play like this again? This might be another game
this might be a
7.
tough series. This
It
might be a
might
tough
be a
series
tough
for Boston,
series,
honestly.
but I
Yeah,
think Boston is going to play better. Derek White didn't play good. He didn't play the brand of basketball he normally plays, being streaky and shooting from 3-point line. But
yeah,
Al Horford stepped up. It was like all these other guys started stepping up for them because he was hitting big threes too. So I just have a feeling that the brand of basketball, the Celtics, is going to overpower the Pacers because the Pacers are the number 2 team in scoring throughout the playoffs and throughout the regular season. And who's number 1? The Celtics. So
yep.
I think at some point, the Celtics brand of basketball is going to overtake Pacers brand of basketball because Celtics have been playing great defense. Jason Tatum had 3 steals. Jaylen Brown had 3 steals. Like there were transitional basketball. That's where their bread and butter is, and then them shooting from the logo. Which I mean, you can't cover that. Like you can't play
Yeah.
defense against that. That's just he shot from the
How are you
logo
gonna
like
cover
3 or 4 times. Like,
that?
you can't cover that. That's just like pure shooting.
Yeah,
But I do think again, the Celtics brand of basketball is going to take over. But we'll
absolutely.
see. We'll see.
Definitely. And game two's tonight, so we're definitely going to instantly see how they respond to that. And now getting to Dallas's game 1 win versus Minnesota, the Mavericks won 108 to 105 on the road, and Luka had 15 of his 33 points in the fourth quarter. Kyrie Irving scored 24 of his 30 in the first half. And another important stat was that Dallas had a 62-38 advantage in points in the paint to really offset not that great of a shooting performance from the perimeter, and they really
Yeah.
it was a contrast of what you would expect from Dallas. But that's why I think this Dallas team is different compared to previous Dallas teams
Yeah.
because they're winning in a different way.
Good
And
point.
this was a vintage Kyrie and Luka game.
Hmm.
Both played exceptionally well. Combined for 63 points. This is the type of performance you want for Dallas, especially when they're going to have to win these road games. And
Absolutely.
Minnesota at points did look gassed, especially Ant. Ant said, "I'm going to cover Kyrie." It's harder. It's harder than it looks having
Absolutely.
to keep track of Kyrie because that's a different beast right there. But looking at this game, game one win for Dallas, what were your takeaways, and also how Minnesota can adjust for game two?
You said it all, man. I think Ant needs to get off Kyrie. I think they
Yeah,
need to play a little bit more zone because Ant, you're the scorer. Cat Towns, he can score a little bit, but you're the guy. You're the
mm,
scorer. You're the bulk of the offense. And I think when Luka and Kyrie are on, you're going to see them push it to the limits. I mean, it was still a great game. They won by 3 points, but it was still a great game. So in that, them finding a way to win outside of the norms, I think that's good. But can they continue to win that way? And they're going to adjust. We saw Minnesota Timberwolves adjust so many times during this postseason that
mm-hmm.
they're going to figure out a way to not only just allow Kyrie to go crazy, but you can't allow Luka to go crazy. They have to
Right.
figure out a way to douse down Luka because Luka is going. I think he's a better 3-point shooter and scorer. I know this probably going to hot take. I think he's a better scorer right now than Kyrie.
Mm. I do
Finisher,
agree. I do agree.
no, but I think he's a better scorer than because it's just a different pace. Kyrie has a bag, don't get me wrong, but it's a
Oh,
different
for sure.
pace, a different just a different style of scoring for Luka, and it shows. So if they got to figure out how to douse him down, and I think they'll be fine. They'll adjust well. They had to adjust with a bunch of monsters. If you can beat Denver, the defending champions, you
Hmm.
can beat Dallas Mavericks. And I don't think Dallas Mavericks is as good as the Denver Nuggets. I'm just saying that's what I feel. That's what I believe. I don't think they're the same team, but you have to figure out a way to take Luka out of the game.
I don't know. I mean, I would agree with that they're not as good as Denver, but I also think Minnesota was gearing up the entire season to prepare for Denver and built a team. Their team was built to beat a team like Denver, and now they're having to adjust to a different style, a different scheme. And I think this game one was like an adjustment period.
Absolutely.
Because I do think I think the series is going seven. I really do. I think this is
Oh,
going
for
the
sure.
full
For
distance.
sure.
I think this is
For
going the full
sure.
distance. But the interesting subplot about this is the fact that it's the other guys who I look at as being able to possibly tilt the series, like PJ Washington, Derrick Jones Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
guys that you knew, like when PJ Washington came to them on the trade deadline, we knew that they were being aggressive. The Mavericks were being aggressive this postseason. Almost, I know we mentioned OKC earlier. We're going to mention them later. I think OKC should have went after a big for the trade deadline because it too much was put on Chet, and it was like, okay, they can't really match up size wise with some of
Yeah.
these other teams. But with this Dallas win, though, do you expect, like, because in a game two, you're up 1-0 on the road. What sense of urgency, like do you expect a certain sense of urgency for them to be like, hey, let's not just be okay with one, but let's be greedy? Like, do you expect that from Dallas in this game too?
Absolutely, because you see what they've done with the defending champs, and I always go back to this. That's the standard. They won
Yeah.
it last year. They were still gearing up to make it to the. Oh, a lot of people have them going to the finals and possibly winning again. So you see them come back, win at away, and then close it out to the defending
Yeah.
champs. And you have to have a sense of urgency. You cannot play with the Timberwolves, and they adjust well. They're the one of the best defensive teams in all postseason and all regular season,
Hmm.
and it will show. You see how they did against the Denver Nuggets. They're going to pressure. They're going to figure out a way to double team, slight double team, come out of nowhere, take the ball. They're going to adjust really, really well in game two because I say that in confidence because they did that with the Denver Nuggets. They did that all regular season. You can see the progression every single game. And I think it's a chess match. And we're going to see what Luka and Kyrie are made of through a full game seven with a team who's used to adversity.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people had them coming out and beating the Denver
Oh no.
Nuggets.
Oh.
So they're used to the adversity. We all knew that. I knew that they're going to beat the Clippers. I knew that. I didn't have them beating OKC, but I do think the adversity side tilts to the Timberwolves. But we're going to see. I think it's going to have the sense of urgency. You got to put these guys away. You have to win as much as possible. And I know that's ABC 1, 2, 3, but you cannot at the tail end of the game
Hmm.
be lackadaisy. You
Right.
have to close out.
Yeah.
And the Mavericks, as in most senses, have not closed out. And OKC stuck around because they didn't close out games and they let them come back. So they can't do that against the Timberwolves.
No, absolutely. And now getting to kind of three teams that were recently knocked out of the playoffs: OKC, Denver, and New York.
Mm-hmm.
Three different scenarios, honestly. With OKC, it was a down to the wire game. The foul was called on Shea. He
Yeah.
admitted that he did commit the fouls. It's obviously tough for him to look at because that cost him the season. And then with New York, I mean,
Injuries,
injuries after
baby.
injuries.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown broke his left hand. Jalen Brunson, broke his left hand. So I mean, that was obviously, your best player, and he
Yeah.
exits out. And but still, I think a really good season for them.
Absolutely.
With everything that went on, I mean, they're one game away from the Eastern Conference Finals, and this team went farther than some people expected. Especially with playing against Philly. So there were definitely concerns about that. But the Denver one is the one that is the most backbreaking one. RIP to the Nuggets back to back
the
titles chances. The one I
little
was dying
chicken
on the hill,
nuggets.
and had a 20-point lead in the first half, and then Minnesota just storms back.
Yeah.
And especially we saw that clip with Ant when he told his trainer, I'm finna get in my bag, and he did. And so it was off to the races after that. But I think in terms of optimism, I still think Denver has a possibility to compete at the highest level again, because look, the bench needs to get improved. That obviously wasn't as good,
Mm-hmm.
and they need a better ball handling. In terms of to offset, not just Murray doing it, but other players doing it, to kind of have another guy to facilitating that pick and roll with Jokic. I think
Yeah.
with OKC, they are like, what's the next move for them? Because it's like, do we continue to because I think the future is bright for them, but also they got to find more bigs. And then also they have to think about, hey, do we want to get a star? Or do we just want to stick with this big three? I think they should just stick with the big three unit that they have in Shea, Chet, and Jalen Williams. But out of all the three, which one do you think should be the most optimistic about next year?
All three. I mean,
Okay,
it's kind of hard not to say all three because all three went to the playoffs and
right.
were had moments of greatness during the postseason. And I'll start with the Knicks. They're gonna have to get people healthy. And Julius Randle was not available. Mitch Robinson was still injured. And then your best guy, Jalen Brunson, goes down. OG goes down. I think Josh Hart went down. And they always did the Thibodeau curse or whatever. They had to get these guys healthy. I don't
Yeah,
think they have to change anything. What they were able to accomplish with that squad. I don't think they need to do anything. It just have to be healthy. And with OKC, I do think they need another big. I don't think they need to bring in a veteran guy because they have a system and a presence with those guys already. Bringing somebody else in, trying to add him, a veteran
not
guy who's
necessary.
probably not necessary. Add another big, a streaky guy who's a versatile big who can shoot and get in and bang a little bit. I think that's the turning point for them. Again, I'm glad you said about Chet. They were putting a lot of Chet Holmgren, who's
A lot of miles.
probably 125 pounds soaking wet. Don't get me wrong, he's a good player, but if you want him to bang and get with these other bigger guys, it's not going to happen. He's not going to be able to handle a Jokic. He's not going to be able to a Rudy Gobert. So you're going to handle these other big guys. So you're going to have to get another big man. I think that's will be the turning point for them. But Denver, yeah, you said it all. I don't have to even say anything about Denver. But I think Denver has an upside. These guys are still young. Jamal Murray's still young. Jokic is still young. And they have a lot of supporting cast guys that can still play. And they're still in their not prime, but they're still young enough in NBA standards. But what you said is spot on. But all three of these teams should be looking to the future like, okay, especially New York. Because I did not have in New York going as deep as they did. And again,
Team was so
we got
fun. Team
we're
was
gonna
such a fun team. Such a great. I just love the grit that they had, because I mean, it was just like
yeah
the fact that there's something about when the Garden is relevant again. It's just like
yeah
it brings a buzz to the league again. It really does. Not that the league has to have that, but there's just something special about that. Like
oh he needs it
yeah, for sure. But I mean, that '90s, they had a '90s grit to them, a '90s
yeah
feel to them that Thibodeau just implemented. Obviously, the injuries were obviously unfortunate, but still, there was just something special about that buzz in the city for them because they're the team of New York again. It used to be
Right.
Brooklyn, but they're the team of New York again.
And there's no longer just a historic landmark. The New
Right.
York was revived this year, and everybody came out and played. But yeah, man, they should look to the future. Like, okay, if we could get all these guys healthy, we'll be fine.
Yeah,
We'll be fine.
for sure. And now getting to Austin Rivers, viral comments about
Buddy,
there are
crazy.
30 NBA players that can play in the NFL on Pat McAfee's show. Hey, Pat sometimes is gonna, he's gonna trip you up and try to get you into a viral comment, and he just fell for the bait. And he just was saying, yeah,
Absolutely.
30 NBA players that can play in the NFL, and obviously a lot of NFL players came out the woodwork. Your guy RG3, he was talking about it. He disagreed with him heavily,
Heavily.
and
Absolutely.
and so it's interesting because this discussion has been going on, and I'll say this. I don't. The issue that I have with his comment is the amount he said. 30 is
Crazy.
wild. If he would have said, "Man, I think there's a few NBA players," I'd have been cool with that. I've been like, no
30?
problem at all. But to say 30, this is not a 30 for 30. This is not a 30 for 30
It's
freestyle.
not.
This is not a 30 for 30 freestyle.
It's
Austin Rivers.
not.
but I just cannot go along with that statement because it really is an outlandish thing. I think you're really overlooking at how tough the NFL is, the grind that it is, that how physical of a sport, the most physical sport we have, and that there are certain things that NBA players are used to and expected that they would not expect in the NFL. And I think immediately, like when we look at that just kind of invalidates the 30 player statement. But to
Absolutely.
you, I know you have some pretty passionate thoughts on it or what he said.
So, man, 30 is crazy. Few that can play. Let's play. Let's do the difference between play and be really good.
Yeah.
Anybody can play football. Let me just throw that out there. Anybody can play. To be good, only see five. Only see five. Ant is one of them. Ant is
Oh yeah.
freakish. I think Ant can play wide receiver. He could play safety if he wanted to. We've had 6'3", 6'4" safeties before. So it's only five I say can be really, really good at football. But man, it's not only just the grind, the amount of just the hits, the everyday, the turnarounds. Like if you played on Sunday, you got to play Thursday. You don't have that time to rest. You guys are playing. You guys get hurt in a gym. Turf. You see what happened to Aaron Rodgers? He was in a 3
Yeah.
plays, and it wasn't like a crazy play, and he tore his Achilles. And then it's the curfews. You guys are used to this freedom. Like it's going to be a culture shock for these guys. And 30 guys, they won't even make the team. Do you know how many players end up at minicamp? And how many players they got to cut down to 53 players? And sometimes they just bring in players just because for competition, for the guys they know they're going to keep. Yo, it's a different monster with football. You guys, I'm not taking anything. Y'all, the more athletic side of sports with basketball, but you come to football, and I know you say, oh, I played in high school, bro. NFL is different.
Oh, for sure.
That's crazy. 30 players, man. The only one I'm confident in really is Ant. That's it. Ant's a freak. I think he can really play. And then he bulks up. Oh, my goodness. I think Ant can play and be good at it. But 30 is crazy. Austin, you couldn't even play.
Definitely good. What about LeBron?
Oh, yeah. But not now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
LeBron.
I remember when him and Katie did that that flag football summer thing that one time, and everybody was kind of saying like, man, like Bron, he could, he's got the physique to be able to play, possibly like a tight end in the NFL.
Yeah.
So many people have thrown that out.
And maybe wide receiver because Plaxico Burress was 6'6", and then he played wide receiver in high school. He would probably be like a 3 or 4 star coming out of high school if he played just football. Because I saw like some of his his routes were terrible. He was just running. He was just like out jumping and stuff like, yeah. So it would probably been a 3 or 4 star. But I think he would have got better and he could have been like a Calvin Johnson. He could have been like a Plaxico Burress. He would have been really good. But yeah, it's not many people. Yeah, no.
Man, that's
crazy.
I don't know what what coffee formula he used that morning, but he was definitely charged up. He was charged up and said, "I am going on a rant
He
today."
said, did he even name them? Did he name
No,
30
he didn't name it.
players?
Now, if he would
I
have
would have
named
made
them,
them. I would
if
have
he would
made them name them.
honestly, hey Pat, I'm just gonna say, shout out to Pat McAfee, love what you're doing. But I would have challenged him and say, hey, just tell me the 30.
Yeah.
Just
Or
tell me
give
the
me
30.
7.
At
Let's
least give
get
me
into it.
7. But man, he was left off the hook when he just said 30. He didn't have to like double back with names. So I was like, man,
Yeah.
opportunity missed.
I can't give you 5. I really can't give you 5.
No,
Yeah. Like, that's
crazy.
crazy. Wait. No, I don't think he would have been a good football player. Bachero from Orlando. I thought about
Oh,
him.
he did play football once. Yeah, I've heard. Yeah,
He might be what's gone. That might, but he probably won't be like good.
mm-hmm.
I'm talking about it's difference between playing because everybody can
And
play
playing.
football, and everybody can play basketball. So you guys are in the NBA.
I think the NFL players, they could translate quicker to NFL. Honestly, you even saw
Absolutely.
what Micah Parsons was doing in the All-Star game. He just was trucking people.
Really, we're gonna foul you, but that's why we got 6 for.
Exactly. And now getting to Usyk's win over Tyson Fury this past Saturday night. Alexander Usyk stunned Fury to unify the heavyweight titles in Saudi Arabia. Usyk defeated Tyson Fury by split decision to become the first undisputed heavyweight champion in the 4-belt era. For our full scope trivia segment, who do you think is the last undisputed heavyweight champion? Savon, like who's the last one?
What is it, Lennox Lewis?
Yes. Ding, 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 ding. Full
I
scope
thought so.
trivia. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's dope
On
though,
it.
because I really had to think. I was like, wait,
Yeah,
it's Lennox
but he was
Lewis.
on it. You got it.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
But looking at this win though, surprising win. A lot of people were stunned by it. What were your takeaways of this? And obviously the accomplishment that major accomplishment that Usyk just pulled off.
Yeah, Fury didn't do anything different. It's the same Fury he's all in every other fight, and my whole kind of like dream was that he was good. His style of fighting would withstand any fighter.
Mm.
That was a dream because I'm big on Fury, but I think he's coming to an end because after he got knocked down by Francis, I was like, okay, if he comes into a real boxer, he might
Yeah,
not get up again. But
exactly.
lo and behold, this guy gets up. But he was not he was coming and bringing him down. He was walking him down, as a lot of boxer analysts was like to say. He walked him down and he was patient. He took his shot and he got it. And a lot of people said he only had 1 round and he should never won. I think he was outboxing Fury the entire time.
Mm.
Yeah, Fury got some good hits in. Fury's going to do what he's going to do, but he's so open to getting hit. But he always gets back up. But no, I think it was an amazing fight for you. And Tyson Fury is coming to an end, I feel.
Yeah, the run is coming to an end. It feels like
coming
that.
to an end. That's sad to say, though.
It is.
The Gypsy
He was on,
King.
yeah, the Gypsy King. As I was about to say, on a heavy run. He was on a heavy run for years, and now it's looking like it's waning down significantly now. Because I mean, Anthony Joshua, he's cooking. He's currently been cooking.
Yeah.
Definitely been on it, looking a lot better. Man.
You don't want to see him right now.
You don't want to see Anthony Joshua. No, absolutely not. That's not the guy you want to see right now. And we got, I think, Javante. We got Tank making a return June 15th.
Yeah.
Excited Terrence about Crawford that. is fighting in August. Notice I'm not gonna mention the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. Oh my gosh, man, July. Netflix some people they're trying to do a Netflix party to watch that fight. I'm like, I really don't want to.
Don't care.
Don't want to see.
Hope he knock his nose off. And then Canelo didn't want to sign the contract. There's reports out there that he didn't want to sign the big contract in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Bro, punk.
What's the that's very disappointing to me. When I saw that, I was like, man, we were just talking about how we were literally just talking. Keep talking. Some people they were talking about our Canelo Terrence Crawford takes, But yeah, I was disappointed
Ah,
that didn't happen, man. Ugh.
man, if that would have been a great fight. That would have been a great fight. I
Yeah,
think Crawford would have won for sure. I just think his adjusting is well, and then he picks his shot. He's a great counter puncher, and Canelo is too. But I think Canelo is more, he's always open to get hit. He gets hit too much. And Bud Crawford is a surgeon when it comes to that. And he's gonna find the holes and he's gonna take it to it. He's not only a counter puncher, he's a walk down guy too. Most of his
for
game
sure.
is counter puncher, but he can walk you down. And you saw that in a
Yeah,
bunch of his fights. He
a
can walk
lot
you
of his
down if he
fight.
want to. And then if he knows he's losing, it's
Mhm.
something in him. It's going. He was like, "I'm losing." And then the next round he knocked him down. Like it's just different. And
Madness.
not saying Canelo is not a good fighter, but Canelo knows who can beat him. That
Oh,
man's a
for sure.
smart man. He knows who can beat him, and Bud Crawford
He's
is one of them.
calculating. Yeah, he's calculating.
Absolutely.
Chris Ramirez on our YouTube page, he said we've also seen Crawford get rocked by Gamboa. So he was mentioning that,
That's a good
which
point.
that is a good point. I'll
But
give him
that's
that.
early
Yeah, that's what
in
I
the
yeah, he kind of
career,
went back
though.
early in the vault.
Yeah.
He went back early in the vault.
Totally different fighter.
Yeah. James Garcia says it's a lose-lose fight for Canelo. Some will call Canelo a bum if he loses, then make excuses by calling him a weight bully if he wins. Um,
That's not a
I
bad
mean,
point.
it's
It's
not
not
it's
a
not a
bad
bad point
point.
either. Not a bad point either. And Michael Morlane, he said, I've never seen so many people get mad because a fighter wants to fight another fighter. If Bud wants to fight the best, let him challenge himself.
Absolutely.
We do want to see the best people have to go against each other because I mean that's what made boxing great at one point, just seeing the best of the best go against each other. So I definitely can see that.
Great comment,
Yeah.
fellas.
Yes, sir.
Keep them coming. And yeah, that's what they used to do in the olden times. Like I see Roy Jones go through pretty much every class. Doesn't mean
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if he got beat up or like they were not afraid to move up, move down, go to here, challenge. Cause it gets boring. I beat everybody in my weight class. I'm gonna stay here? No, I'm gonna go and challenge somebody else.
Look,
It's simple.
this summer we've been gearing up for a lot of things. I'm you know, not just, I'm not really saying anything crazy, but Roy Jones Jr. does go to my barbershop, and if I do see him, I will ask Roy Jones if he wants to come on Full Sky. I will blatantly do it because I would love to have a convo with Roy Jones.
Nah, Roy Jones is a cool guy. He probably would though.
He probably
He
would
probably
do it.
would.
So stay tuned, listeners. If he's at the barbershop one day when we got the same barber too. What are we talking about? I might try to hook that up, but that would be dope. He's got an illustrious career, man. Roy is
Oh,
just peak hole in the house. Peak hole in the house,
he, he's man. It's I can't say enough about Roy Jones.
man.
That's
Yes,
that's one of the hometown favorites. Pico in the house. Always shouts us out. Always
for
give us
sure.
love, and we love him back. When he was
Oh yes,
going downhill, that's Roy
it was
Jones,
with
baby.
it was with.
Hey, we was with you. So yeah,
Yeah, never turned his back on the city, and I love that.
yeah.
Absolutely love that.
Like other people we know,
Mhm.
charging kids for autographs. Wild.
Man, catching strays permanently.
Always talking about
Always.
hometown Dallas.
Nah, man.
That's cool.
Nah. We don't know you. We don't know
Right.
you, dog. Before we go to break, though, a headline that's been really surfacing a lot has been the Scotty Scheffler. You know, he was arrested before the PGA Championship round
Oh
two.
yeah, yeah.
You know, Friday morning, trying to drive into the entrance of Valhalla Golf Club, the site of the week's PGA Championship, and it's been so many different reports about just kind of takeaways of the event and how it happened. You know, he was released, you know, a few hours right after. Some were saying, you know, that's white privilege. He got off too quickly. Other people were saying, like, what was the police officer even doing? Kind of being aggressive, charging him. What were kind of your thoughts on this? Because I can see, you know, it was a very chaotic situation. Honestly, it was
Yeah.
one I don't think. I mean, the number one golfer in the world, he's getting arrested the morning before he's having to play in the championship, and then he's right back out there, then having to deal with the allegations and the arrest and what he's the aftermath of it. But what were kind of your thoughts on that whole whirlwind?
A new video just came out, right? ESPN just
I think
released
so. Yeah.
that the cop was in the wrong and that the cop was, I think, discipline. I don't know. I don't know what the discipline was, but the cop was in the wrong. So now we know it wasn't his fault.
Yep.
And but you know, you got to be careful with those things about saying it's white privilege. not all things are white privilege, and not all things are what it seems. Until you gotta wait until you see once
See the
again
evidence.
the
See the
full
evidence.
scope
Yeah,
of the evidence. Yes, sir.
true.
And it's a lot of man. I didn't think any other way about it. I was like, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
I
what is
wasn't
the
thinking
cop?
like, oh
Yeah,
man, like this white guy getting away with something. I just didn't
right.
think
I'm
that.
like, bro, like it's the day before one of the biggest golf tournaments in the world,
Hmm.
and he's trying to. It's not like he's at a bar. Like he's not like anywhere crazy. He's trying to
The
get
scenery,
in the golf
yeah, the
course.
scenery, the scene of the alleged crime matters, you know, and that wasn't like you said. He wasn't at a bar. He wasn't at some place where he shouldn't have been. Just driving.
I'm just trying to go
On
practice. I'm
set.
just trying to go to the club. Like
Yeah,
it's a golf club, not the club, ladies and gentlemen. He was just trying to go to a golf club because so you know always got to wait for the full ensemble of information before you pass judgment. But that's the world we live in. People will pass judgment really quick, and sometimes I do that too. I have to step in like, yo, you don't even know the whole the whole situation.
mhm,
Though. Why are you
yeah,
passing judgment? So we always got to take a step back and be like, I'm gonna wait for the full thing because this is a big story. He's like you said, one the biggest golfer in the world right now, and all eyes is on him. And then he has to go out and perform. And I know he's thinking like, man, this is crazy. But yeah, so I'm glad he was able to shake it off, and I'm glad that he was able to clear his name. That he didn't do anything wrong. It was the
yeah.
cop
I,
being
I,
an
I
aggressive
really,
and doing
yeah,
these
really like
things.
that
Yeah,
for
you
sure.
know they power trip, man.
Crazy.
Power
You
trip.
cannot jump to conclusions with these situations, no matter who
No.
it is. And it really did seem like a situation that nobody was expecting. Obviously, clean track record.
Yes,
Nothing in his past that would bring up like, oh yeah, this he
I'm
would do
so
something
glad you
like
said
this.
that. So glad you said that. So glad
Yeah,
you said that. Guy don't have a record.
yeah, he doesn't have a record, and
White
especially
privilege.
yeah, when also like you know anybody in any race, like when the guy doesn't have a record, you always have to be like, man, this was kind of an odd situation. This was a misunderstanding, and especially the cop, you know, looking at the video now because you know footage will continue to be released, and it was released today, and the cop he was in the wrong. He was the wrong guy in the
Absolutely.
situation. So
Mhm.
you know the truth always comes out at the end, and this one, you know, his name was cleared,
Keep that
rightfully
body
so.
cam on. Keep that body cam on.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.